An eargasm of learning and a no-fuss show. Welcome to the Creative Talk Podcast, where you can learn straightforward topics about branding, digital entrepreneurship, online business, and many more with your charming host, John Santos, along with inspiring entrepreneurs, creators, and thought leaders worldwide.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Creative Talk Podcast with me, John Santos, and we have a special guest. I am very excited because I know, just like you guys, we will learn a lot. Our special guest for today is an international award-winning global and personal brand strategist. Wow, the title. A best-selling author and speaker. She will help you magnetize your message, amplify your brand, and multiply your profit. Can you multiply my profit? Let's all welcome. Yes. Let's all welcome to the show our special guest. Very beautiful, very humble. This person is full of wisdom, and she's just an amazing human being. Welcome to the show, Gayle Edwards.
Oh, thank you, Jan. Welcome. Oh, I'm so glad to be here. Honestly, I'm so pleased to be here with you today, Jan, because I really, really admire what you're doing actually in this whole branding space. So I feel honored and humbled to be here with you. So thank you.
Wow. The feeling is mutual. I mean, we're in the same team in one of the rooms that we do in Clubhouse. And for all those listeners and viewers out there, guys, I really, really advise that you check Gayle Edwards' work and the advices that you will get from this person. You know, guys, you will find out. You will find out why I'm a fan of this person in this episode. Gayle, I am excited. And I know our viewers are excited. Now, we have this question here that we always ask our guests, okay? We all see that, the success of someone, because that's the output. That's the last part. But nobody understands the journey, the backstory. And that's where I am really excited to focus on. So, Gayle, who influenced you or what influenced you to be in this great position you are right now? The floor is yours. Feel free to share.
Thank you, Jan. And thank you for asking that question, because this is my 21st year. Can you believe this is my 21st year in business? Yeah, my 21st year. And so I was inspired quite some time ago to start my business. I knew from a very, very young age that I was going to work for myself. No idea why, because there's nobody else in my family that's entrepreneurial, certainly not at that time. I was the only one. And, everyone else had wonderful jobs. They got to the height of their career and then they retired. And I just thought, that's lovely, but it's not for me. So I kind of had this label, if you like, of being a bit fickle, because I would be always moving around and changing my jobs. And, I started working in the media for the BBC over here in the UK. Always had such lovely jobs, really good jobs, and got, a lot of promotion and advancement, but never settled. So, like I said, my whole family thought I was fickle. What I was actually doing, though I didn't realize it at the time, because I just bought into their story of me being fickle. But what I didn't realize I was doing at the time was I was actually amassing experience. I was creating connections and networks that have come in so handy over the past 21 years. But the one thing that really inspired me more than anything else is that I had this dream from young, but I then got into my 30s and kind of took the very traditional route that everybody else took. I got married, I settled down, I was at the peak of my career. But I had quite a traumatic personal experience just before I got married, and that led me to just seek out a more spiritual way of being. And I ended up at a conference in the States called African American Women on Tour. And in that conference was all around personal development, spiritual awareness, and I don't even know how I got there, to be honest, but I ended up in this conference. And this was the moment. I was sitting in this workshop. I was sitting in a workshop, and this woman came on stage. She's not famous, but she was someone just like us doing her thing at a seminar. Her name was Jewel Diamond Taylor, and she came on stage, and she was so vibrant and energetic. And I've got no idea what her workshop was even about, but I never forget these words. The first word she spoke, she said, "Thank you all for being here. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm here. My only regret is that I'm going to be 50 on my next birthday, and I've only been living a life of purpose for 12 years. And I did a quick calculation, and I thought, wow, she started when she was 38, and she's so vibrant and engaging and charismatic. I'm only 34. I've got time. So it was at 34 years old, literally, I got back from that conference. I handed in my notice of my very successful marketing director's job at the time. And that was it. I just knew I was never going to look back.
Gayle,
and I haven't.
were you not scared? I mean, those jobs that you mentioned, and I know you, I know a bit of your story. Those are not typical jobs. Those are high-end jobs. You were in BBC, you are in a let me use the word like managerial position, you're a director, and you're giving it away. Were you not scared?
Yeah. Well, I've made two decisions in my life that have stood me in really good stead, Jan. Two. Number one, the first decision I made at 14 years old, okay, was when at 14 in the UK, we choose our options, okay. These are the subjects that we're going to go on to do. In my case, in those days, it was CSE and O level. Now it's GCSEs, but. So the decision I made then was that I was going to do a typing O level, because I thought if I can type, I will never be out of work. Okay. So I always had that certainty. And the other decision I made is that so long as, which I made a bit later on in life, I made this one around about just before I turned 40, was so long as you keep showing up as yourself, you will always be okay. Okay, so those two decisions have stood me in great stead. They take the fear out of everything. So when I left that position, I knew that if push came to shove, I could go and temp and type, because I was never going to be out of work. Okay, so I didn't have that fear around, oh my gosh, because I was never attached. Remember, I was only amassing experience and network. So I wasn't attached to the job. It was great, but I knew, that wasn't going to be the life for me. So I left. My husband, bless him, at the time was he was much more nervous, very much more security conscious than me. But that's great. You only need one person that's security conscious in a marriage. As long as you've got one, you're okay. And really that was it. So I left, and when I first started my business, I just did what I was doing in that job, but just did it on a freelance basis. And I did that for quite a few years until I had my daughter. I had my daughter when I was 36. So that again stood me in really good stead. And it wasn't until afterwards then I then discovered coaching and mentoring and a different way of doing my business, which is really, even all these years later, is where I am now.
Wow, it sounds like, a fairy tale movie or, a pop culture thing, but it really happens, you have this feeling inside you that you are meant for something else. And I admire you for that one, Gayle. you shared us the business journey, as an entrepreneurial person. Now, I'm excited to know how the transition happened from business perspective, longing something as an in your entrepreneurial journey to brand strategy focused business. How did that
Yeah.
happen? How did that happen?
Well, like I said, my background in business was always around marketing, communications, branding. And, I'm old enough to be in the space that when I started doing all that, we were one department, one person doing all of that. Sales, PR, and marketing was one person, whereas now you have whole departments dedicated to each one of those disciplines. So I was really, really lucky. And, and plus I'm very young at heart, because if you've done the maths, you'll realize that now I'm a middle-aged woman in my 50s, but my attitude is still very much, I'm like a millennial. I'm really out there learning, and hustling with the best of them.
I agree, guys. Gayle is, young at heart, mind, and soul.
Very.
Trust me.
I am, and I always have been. So that has stood me in good stead. So as each evolution of business has come along, I've kind of ridden that wave. So I learned to type on a typewriter. So as I did, as on a typewriter with carbon paper. So as soon as people were getting into word processing, as we called it then, I was there right at the front, I'm going to learn this word processing stuff. And then when we had, they used to call it, when we had email, the evolution of emails and new media, as it was called back then, new commerce, e-commerce, I was right at the forefront of that. So every time I've been at the forefront of something, learning something, I've had the luck, I suppose, the good fortune to be able to then teach that to other people.
I think that's the most powerful trait that an entrepreneur should possess, to always learn, to always go with the flow. I mean, I agree with you. I remember back then when we have the place called libraries where we go and use the typewriter. You write down, use books, and then came the computers, and then came social media, and we were there. And not everyone can do the transition, can continuously innovate, continuously learn. And that is something big, right? So you can be in the competition. And that's something that I'm seeing now. That's the reason why you're so successful, because you were always there.
Always. Oh, and that hasn't changed, to be honest, Jan. So when coaching and mentoring, started to become much more accessible for people, I was there training with Tony Robbins, so learning that and then going off and teaching it to other people, showing them how they can be the best they can be, how they can live their best life. And around that then came identity. So the whole thing, sorry, let's just turn that off. The whole thing around how I work, which is around, identity, it's around impact, it's around influence, all of that now, exactly now people are really clicking into that, because they want to know how can they have maximum impact. We've got platforms like Clubhouse where the currency is impact. And this is stuff I've been doing for 10 years or more. So it's positioned me now to be the go-to person. People want to know how to create messaging with impact, how to connect it with their purpose, how to build profit from it, but still have a heart for service. This is stuff I've been doing a long time that other people are only now clicking into. So that's how the evolution has been, just through constantly learning and using myself as my own test case.
Powerful, Gayle, powerful. I mean, guys, that is the perfect combination for me. You have experience, you don't stop learning, you innovate, and you are humble enough to admit that you need constant improvement. And this is our guest for today. You know, a living example of a powerful combination. Wow. And guys, don't just take my word for it. Connect with Gayle. I'm sure you will be surprised. She is just an amazing human being. Such a good heart, very humble. And the advice you will get from this person is, who, man, take it, you know, just connect with her. All right, Gayle. So you shared us your story, you know, the journey and the transition towards focusing on your you know, your current title, the go-to when it comes to branding, brand strategy, and identity. Now, having said that, I am excited, and I know our listeners and viewers are excited to learn from you brand strategy tips for business success. The floor is yours, Gayle. Please do share us.
Wow. Thank you. Well, the very first thing, and this transcends everything, because there are many gurus out there. There are many courses. There are many resources. There is so much information. If there's one thing we don't need to look for, is information, because it's all out there. It's available to us. However,
you know, we share that principle. Me,
absolutely.
you, Pete, and all the Avengers.
Exactly. Right. So there's just so much information, but there's only really one strategy that transcends all of that. And that's around clarity. That's around knowing who you are. When you have clarity around your identity, you know, I call it being able to stand up in your own hallelujah. When you've got that moment where you can say, yes, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is who I do it for. And this is the effect of doing it. When you have that amount of clarity, and it's not just about, and this is, I call this branding from the soul, because this is when you really start to connect your identity, you know, with your purpose and your passions and your impact. That's priceless. That's priceless. I see people who work with other brand strategists or marketeers, and they come up with this lovely messaging. Great. But it sounds the same as the other people that they've worked with, you know. And so it really is about, what I've done is I've taken that whole concept, that very traditional concept of USPs, unique selling points, but turned it inwards, turned it into a real, so it's not just about your unique selling point. It's, what is your unique and significant purpose? What is that? And let's use that. That's our foundation from which everything else builds. You know, whether you're going to do a great marketing campaign or create brand image, or whether you're just, you know, whether you just want to be able to give a really compelling speech. If you do it from that unique, significant purpose, that's the magic. That is the magic.
Wow. I love that. I love how you craft, you know, let me use the word a classic principle, and you just, you know, innovate it, and it really makes sense. I love that. With your experience, Gayle, and I know you have like tons of clients, the different business nature of businesses, different nationalities. What are the top three basic giveaway that you can share?
Well, most of my clients come to me for three reasons. Number one, they don't know how to talk about themselves. They just don't know how. That's always that I think that's probably the number one thing. I don't know how to talk about my business, Gayle. I don't know how to get everything in. So I would say the answer to that challenge, the number one tip to that challenge, is stop trying to get everything in. Stop communicating with people and start connecting with people, because connection is only occurring when there's conversation. And if you're just communicating and giving them everything, then there's no opportunity for communication. Okay, there's none. How can you have a conversation with someone that's just spewing all their stuff at you all the time? You know, you got to be able to have a two-way. So that's the answer to that question, right? The other challenge that people come to me with is that I'm not making enough money. You know, I'm not making enough money. I don't have enough money.
Very valid, though. Very valid.
Absolutely. You know, so they always say, I'm not making enough clients. I'm not making enough money. I don't have enough clients. Gayle, I need more clients. Okay. So the response to that is, let's go back to basics. What are you giving them? How are you showing up? How are you serving them? People don't buy products and services. They don't buy coaching. You know, they don't buy mentoring. They don't even buy consultancy. They buy outcomes. What are you going to do for me? So what is it? So what is the problem that you are actually solving for your clients? That's the question. Because when you can solve their problem, money doesn't even come into it. It's not about price. So when people say, oh, I can't afford you, you haven't solved their problem. You haven't shown them clearly how you are the answer to the problem that they have. Okay, so that's a second tip. Solve people's problems. Okay, solve their problems. And then the third challenge that people often show up with, which is quite funny, is I don't get enough opportunity. Everybody else in my industry seems to be doing this. They seem to be, and I don't have any opportunities. And this one I actually find quite funny, because why are you waiting for opportunity and not creating your own? So this is where you become a person of influence, a thought leader within your industry. So position yourself to be that go-to person, and that's all around impact. And that's why platforms like, you know, Clubhouse and now Twitter Spaces and, you know, and podcasts are really important, because they're great tools that you can use to position yourself. Because without positioning yourself, then you don't have the visibility and credibility. So people, even if there are opportunities out there, how are people going to find you? How are they going to find you? So you, first and foremost, be your own opportunity first. Give yourself your first opportunity by positioning yourself. You know, you don't have to have all the whizzy dizzy tools. You know, I'm the worst person when it comes to, I love tech, I understand it, but don't look for my website, because there's a holding page. Okay, don't go and expect these wonderfully curated Instagram feeds, because, you know, I post when I've got time. You know, but what I am consistent about, the one thing I'm really passionate and consistent about, is making sure that you are absolutely the best person, that you are the most authentic person, and that you are positioned as one of the most credible people within your field. And that's what I'm really consistent about. So they're my three top tips there to, in answer to the three biggest challenges I'm often faced with from my clients.
Knowledge bomb after knowledge bomb. Gayle, I have a follow-up question though, and this is, you know, a personal one. Have you ever experienced, this happened to me before, but I want to know how you handled this. Have you ever experienced a client that, you know, they're saying that this is who they are, or at least this is what they project, and then in your assessment it's a totally different one, and they're so stubborn, and they're so stubborn to accept your assessment, but they need you, and that's weird. Please do share.
Absolutely. Happens all the time, Jan, all the time. So, and honestly, we haven't, amongst my friends that I work quite closely with, so with some of my other business colleagues, we have a bit of a saying that if I don't make people cry, then they're not doing it. If they don't cry, then that means they're not really doing it. Okay, because people are very attached to who they think they are. And some people don't want to be confronted with the real them, because they're scared of it. And it's not that they're sinister or there's any shadow, it's that they're powerful, you know. And one of my favorite poems that I even have printed on my workbooks for my clients is the poem by Marianne Williamson, Our Deepest Fear. And the first lines of that poem is, our deepest fear is not our darkness, but our light, is our light that frightens us. We are powerful beyond measure. Yeah, exactly. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. It is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. And people are sometimes scared. So what I do is I gently lead them towards their own light so that they can see it. They can then sit in it, embrace it, and then be it. Because when they operate from that space, they are exactly that, powerful beyond measure. And every single person has that. It's not just in some of us, it is in all of us. And then you get that part where people talk about imposter syndrome, where they ask themselves the questions, just as the poem says, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. It is your divine rights.
Game over, Gayle. Game over. Knowledge bomb after knowledge bomb. Wow. Thank you so much, Gayle. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers learn a lot from story, your journey, your inspiration, your influences, and then the topic about branding tips. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But we are not done yet.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
We started with your story. We focus on, tips and your giveaways for everyone, including me. Now, it's the time for us to play a game. Okay?
Oh, I like a bit of a game.
It's a traditional thing in the show. We will ask you questions, and you are not allowed to spend much time in thinking what the right answer is. The first word that comes into your mind, shoot. And you need to be 100% honest, okay?
Okay. Okay. Right.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right, we call this the creative fast talk. Question number 1. Easy, my dear, easy. Question number 1. Sun or snow?
Oh, sun.
All right, question number 2. Structured or chaotic?
Chaotic.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Question number 3. Love or money?
Oh, love. Every time. Easy.
Aw, sweet. Next. If you were an animal, what animal would you be and why?
Tiger.
Okay.
Very, very, very interesting story behind it, but we haven't got time. But tigers, they're actually quite regal and extremely powerful.
Wow, wow. Yes, I totally agree.
And distinctive. They don't look like any other animal on the planet. They are distinctive.
Yes, even the tigers itself, the stripes, it's uniquely, it's uniquely crafted to them. No tiger
Absolutely.
are alike.
Each one is, each one is different.
Well,
Yeah,
wow.
See,
I'm going to change my title now. I'm no longer a branding and identity coach. I'm a animal tiger expert. Next question. Popcorn and movies or dinner and dancing?
Oh, dinner and dancing.
Ah, romantic. Yes. Next.
Yeah.
Passenger or driver?
Oh, driver. Driver.
Mountains or the beaches?
Oh, beach. Love beach.
You will love the Philippines then.
Oh.
Yes. All right, next. What is Gayle Edwards afraid of?
Now, had you asked me that question a couple of years ago, funny enough, I would have said tigers. I would have done but that's, like I said, there's a whole story. That's a whole other podcast,
right?
Which is quite interesting. But now, gosh, I'm so glad you asked me this question, Jan, because I can actually say for the first time in my life, I'm sitting here feeling pretty fearless.
Oh, I love that. And is this the first time you said that?
Yeah, that's the first time I've said that out loud. I feel fearless. Boom.
Only in the Creative Talk podcast, guys. I love that.
Wow.
I love that. I love that, Gayle. My respect for you just went up and up because of that. You're such a beacon of influence. I love that. I love that. All right, next.
Yeah.
Movies or books?
Oh gosh, this is a toughie. Oh, can't I have both?
No, you need to pick one, my dear.
Oh my gosh, this is a tough one. I'm going to go for movies only because many books are made into movies. I'm going to have the best of both worlds.
Good. Okay, since you answered that, a follow-up question for that is, name your top 3 movies of all time.
Oh, wow. Okay, so one of my favorite movies of all time is actually Hairspray, because it's funny. I just love a nice, funny movie. Oh gosh, Shawshank Redemption is definitely up there as well.
Yes.
The Mind.
Yes.
The Mind. You know, that just takes you through a different place. I love that. and then, oh gosh, there are so many different movies here.
One more.
I'm gonna say Malcolm X, and the reason why is because because I love to see the Spike Lee Malcolm X film, because I love to see his journey, how somebody went from his circumstances, he should have been nothing. He should have been nobody. He should have been exactly the trajectory he was heading on, you know, a thief, criminal. And he had that moment that completely changed his entire life, but not just his life, the lives of so many people around him as well. So I love that movie.
I love the top 3 choices. Very good. Next, bath soap or toothbrush?
Oh my gosh. Toothbrush. Random.
Yeah. Next, what was the weirdest food you ever tried?
It's got to be oysters, because I like oysters. I like oysters, but they are weird because they're slimy. Yeah, they're a bit slimy.
All right,
you just think, am I really eating this?
Okay, I'll accept that. Yeah. If you have your dream superpower, what would it be and why?
It would be invisibility. just knowing that I could be anywhere and no one knows I'm there.
Right.
The things I would get to see and hear. Oh, invisibility.
Scary. Very nice. All right. The last question, Gayle. It could be something serious depending on how you will take the question. Okay? Okay. Last question is, if you have the power to bring back someone back from the dead, who would it be and why?
Only one person.
Yes, only one. Anyone.
Well, if that's the case, if it's only one, then I think it would be Maya Angelou. Yeah, because again, another person whose life, the experiences in her life have just been so much. You know, she's just been through so many incarnations as well, and I'd love to know just how did she navigate all of those to then end up being the most powerful and influential woman that she was towards the end of her life. You know, this is a woman that used to be a prostitute. Do you know what I mean?
I'm gonna level up the question. Remember when I said in the start of this episode that imagine we're inside a coffee shop. So now we're inside a coffee shop and she comes in because you revived her. What is the first question, the number one question you would ask her?
I don't even think I'd ask her a question as such. What I would say to her is, Maya, pull up a seat. We've got things to talk about, girlfriend. We have got things to talk about.
Love that.
And I would, and I would want to know. So tell me, how does a woman who has, who's raped as a child, has a baby very young, is a prostitute, end up being in Porgy and Bess, the first all-black ensemble feature movie, then goes on to be like poet laureate. And these are, I want to know, how does that happen? So pull up a chair.
Love that. And I will be with you and listening to that great story. Wow, thank you so much, Gayle. Thank you so much. That was an awesome experience. Learning your story, learning from the tips, knowledge bomb after knowledge bomb, and now, having fun with us in our simple, tradition game here in the show. So, Gayle, I know you have a lot of online releases, social media accounts, projects, events. Feel free to promote. The floor is yours.
Well, the best place to connect with me is through my bio on Instagram. Slide into my DMs. I have got a new membership that's starting on the 1st of June. There is a founder members offer. It's called the Impact Incubator. So it's all about, if you want to increase your impact on a global scale, you want to know exactly how to magnify that message and how to really ramp up your profits from a human to human economy perspective, then that is most definitely the membership for you. So slide into my DMs on Instagram. I'm always there.
Wow, guys, again, I will say it again. Please do connect with Gayle. I'm sure she can help you in your journey towards success. Gayle, thank you so much, my friend. It's such a blessing to have you in the show. All right.
Thank you so much, Jan.
Thank you. Guys, remember this. Have a positive outlook in life. Smile. God bless. Bye.
Thank you for being with us here on the Creative Talk Podcast. I'm your host, John Santos. Don't forget to listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. See you again, always.